Picture this. You are at a family gathering. You are 8, maybe 10. While the other kids are running around, screaming, throwing food and acting like, well, children, you are sitting quietly at the adult table. You are listening to your aunt complain about her marriage, nodding thoughtfully, and maybe even offering some surprisingly profound advice. Suddenly, an adult looks at you, smiles warmly, and says the golden phrase. Wow, you are just so mature for your age. You're like a little adult. You probably beamed with pride. Society tells us this is the ultimate compliment. Parents brag about it to their friends. Teachers write it on your report cards as a badge of honor. But I'm here to tell you something you're not going to like. Something that is going to entirely reframe the way you view your childhood. Being mature for your age is not a quirky personality trait. It's a trauma response. If you were the child who never caused trouble, who anticipated every adult's needs, and who carried the emotional weight of your household, you weren't wise beyond your years. You were emotionally abandoned, and you were forced to adapt to survive. Welcome to Psychology with Jarvis. Today we are tearing down the facade of the mature child. We're going to expose the disturbing truth behind this childhood praise, look at how it secretly ruined your ability to function as a healthy adult, and explain why that creeping sense of burnout you feel right now is the direct result of a childhood you never actually got to have. Let's strip away the illusion. When society praises a child for being highly mature, what they're actually praising is a state of severe hyper-vigilance. The brain of a developing child is entirely focused on one prime directive: attachment. To survive, a child must maintain a secure, stable connection to their primary caregivers. But if those caregivers are emotionally volatile, physically absent, deeply overwhelmed or narcissistic, the child's brain sounds a terrifying psychological alarm. This leads to a psychological phenomenon called parentification. Importantly, the roles completely reverse. The child realizes subconsciously, if the adults around me cannot regulate themselves, I have to do it for them. If I don't manage the emotional climate of this house, I am not safe. Your maturity was an involuntary survival mechanism. It was the desperate attempt of a developing brain to create stability in a profoundly unstable environment. You became a master at reading micro-expressions. You learned to constantly calculate the exact cognitive load of your parents. You knew exactly when to stay quiet, when to play the therapist, and when to make yourself completely invisible. We call this an adaptation, but it comes at a terrible, soul-crushing cost. A child's nervous system is not equipped to process the complex emotional burdens of an adult. So you bypassed your own developmental milestones. You suppressed your natural, chaotic, needy child self because having needs was suddenly dangerous. Your maturity was merely an escape hatch to avoid rejection, punishment, or the terrifying reality that the people meant to protect you were completely out of control. I want to pause right here because I know this is hitting some of you incredibly hard. If your chest feels tight right now, or if you are suddenly remembering things you have shoved down for a decade, I need you to do something for me. Go down to the comments right now and tell me this. What was the exact moment or the specific behavior that made adults praise you for being so mature? Was it breaking up physical fights between your parents? Was it raising your younger siblings, making their lunches and putting them to bed? Or was it just sitting silently in your room for hours so you wouldn't be a burden to your exhausted mother? Type it out. Hit submit. Then I want you to read the other comments. I want you to see with your own eyes that you are not alone in this.
There's a massive, silent community of people walking around with this exact same invisible wound, thinking they are the only ones who feel entirely broken on the inside while looking perfectly put together on the outside. Go do that right now and let's face the real truth of what this behavior turned into. Now, let's get controversial, because if you were the mature child, you grew into the highly functioning adult, and you probably think you are deeply empathetic, endlessly accommodating, and a natural caregiver. But I need to give you some tough love and be brutally honest with you. Your extreme accommodation is not just kindness, it is a highly evolved covert manipulation tactic. Yes, I said it. It is a control mechanism. In behavioral psychology, we look closely at a specific trauma response known as fawning. When fight, flight, or freeze will not keep you safe, the brain resorts to fawn, aggressively pleasing a threat to neutralize it. As an adult, you are still fawning. You over-deliver at work. You hyper-manage your romantic partner's feelings. You anticipate your friends' needs before they even have the chance to voice them. You think you are being a wonderful, selfless person, but deep down you are actually trying to control your environment so you never have to feel abandoned or criticized. You use your maturity and your extreme competence to make yourself indispensable because your core subconscious belief is this: if I am perfectly useful and if I never need anything from anyone, they cannot leave me. It is self-sabotage disguised as selflessness. You are keeping everyone at arm's length by playing the role of the infallible savior, ensuring that no one ever gets to see the terrified, exhausted child pulling the levers behind the curtain. To truly understand why you do this, we have to look at the deep psychology of your core wounds. At the foundation of the mature child syndrome is a devastating unspoken conviction. You believe that you, just as you are fundamentally unlovable. In a healthy family dynamic, a child learns they have inherent value simply because they exist. They throw temper tantrums, they make giant messes, they demand attention at the worst possible times, and they are still loved.
They learned that love is unconditional. They learned that their existence is not a burden. But you learned that love is transactional. You learned that affection, safety, and praise were only dispensed when you were being useful, quiet, or acting as an emotional sponge for your parents' unresolved trauma. You were stripped of the right to just be. Because of this, you developed a terrifying fear of the unknown. To let go of your hyper-independence means stepping into a void where you might actually have to ask someone for help, and to the mature child's brain, asking for help is a death sentence. It triggers a visceral fear of rejection. If I am messy, if I am needy, if I drop the ball, they will realize I am useless and they will throw me away. You don't trust anyone to catch you if you fall, because no one caught you when you were 7 years old. You are constantly projecting the emotional neglect of your past onto every single relationship in your present, operating on the tragic, exhausting assumption that you must earn your right to exist every single day. I know this video is making you deeply uncomfortable right now. I know I am tearing down a defense mechanism that has kept you safe for 20 or 30 years. If you are feeling a bit exposed, a bit defensive, or maybe even angry at me, that means we are hitting the nerve. That means this is exactly what you needed to hear. This is what we do here, on Psychology with Jarvis. We do not sugarcoat your behavior. We decode the dark, hidden, and uncomfortable parts of the human mind so you can actually heal, instead of just slapping a cheap motivational band-aid on your trauma. If you are tired of living in the dark about your own mind, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notification bell. Join this community. I promise to keep giving you the brutal, revelatory truth you will not get anywhere else. Now, let's look at the catastrophic danger waiting for you if you refuse to change this pattern.
If you keep operating as the mature child in an adult body, you are on a direct collision course with absolute devastation. The long-term danger isn't just that you will feel a little bit tired, it is total systemic psychological collapse. We call it high-functioning burnout. You are running a supercomputer on a AAA battery. Your nervous system is redlining 24/7 because hypervigilance requires immense, unsustainable physiological energy.
But far worse than the physical exhaustion is the passive-aggressive resentment that will eventually consume you. You will become incredibly bitter. You will look at your partner, your friends, and your boss, and you will secretly hate them for not anticipating your needs the way you anticipate theirs. You will isolate yourself, building massive walls of sheer resentment, never realizing that you are the one who refused to communicate your boundaries. You will eventually snap, burning down your relationships, your career, and your own physical health, all because you refused to admit that you needed to be taken care of. So, how do we fix it? How do you break a psychological loop that has been hardwired into your brain since childhood? Here is your tough love antidote, and I must warn you, it is going to feel agonizing. You have to start being immature. You have to start dropping the ball on purpose. Healing for you does not look like doing more yoga or meditating. Healing looks like letting someone else experience the discomfort of their own problem without jumping in to solve it for them. When a friend vents to you, you must practice physically biting your tongue and just saying, "Wow, that really sucks," instead of offering a meticulously crafted 10-point action plan. You need to start making requests. Start incredibly small. Ask a partner to grab you a glass of water from the kitchen. Tell your boss you absolutely cannot take on that extra project because your plate is full. When you do this, your brain is going to scream at you. It will trigger a massive dopamine crash and tell you that you are being selfish, horrible, and unlovable. You must tolerate that anxiety. You must sit in the agonizing discomfort of being imperfect and watch with your own eyes as the world doesn't end and people don't abandon you. I am giving you one real-world homework assignment for the next 24 hours. I want you to say the word no to one single request or ask someone for help with one small task. That is it, just one time. Go down to the comments right now and write, "I am dropping the facade." Commenting this is your psychological contract with me, and more importantly with yourself, that you are going to take this action today. If this video tore you open and gave you the clarity you have been starving for, make sure you like the video, share it with someone who suffers from the exact same maturity curse, and subscribe to Psychology by Jarvis. You don't have to be the adult in the room anymore. You are allowed to just be human. I'll see you in the next one.